Hey guys, welcome back to Standard Time. As you may know, I ordered an Invicta Pro Diver watch and it's arrived. It's right here actually. So let's go ahead and begin with the unboxing. Get through the packaging. So I bought this off eBay and this is pretty much my first buy from eBay. Apart from... there we go. Inside the box we have the details of the sale, traditional, and this used looking Invicta box. There are signs of use and damage. You can probably see that. Maybe better on the secondary camera. So, I don't know if you can notice, but there's kind of smudge marks here because the case itself looks like it attracts a lot of dirt easily, and it's just been taped over to keep it shut. So I'm quite aware that this is a used piece because I purchased it for about 47 euros. I've never bought an Invicta before, so this is something new to me. Perhaps, well, you're gonna get to see it first. What happened there? Great. The watch was not really even seated around the cushion. Fantastic. This is a warranty tag. Not really sure what this is. So as you can see, this is what I was greeted with in the box. And the cushion was out, it just dropped out. But there we have the watch itself. And as you may be able to see, has a few scratches on it. It is a used piece. Let's see if we can get the camera to focus. I think that's focused right, isn't it? Yep, it's a used piece. It's got a couple of scratches on the bracelet. Now this is my first time looking at the piece, so it might not be that coherent in my description. And I've never actually held or seen an Invicta in person before. Oh well, no, actually one of my friends back in high school had one, but I didn't really take notice. It feels alright. I mean, it doesn't feel that great in the hand, honestly. It feels like any sort of regular watch with this kind of dimensions and a steel bracelet would feel. It's not particularly Rolex-like, or it's not particularly Rolex Submariner-like, because I've not held one of the vintage Submariners, just one of the new ones, and they're very solidly constructed. Perhaps the 11610 or 16610, whatever, one of the older Submariners pre-2000, I believe they were not that well constructed, but as a watch it feels alright. I mean, it's not too special, I would say. Well, it is used, so there's that factor. So there's the bracelet is basically styled after an oyster style bracelet. Well, it's styled after an oyster bracelet, but it has its own clasp, similar to the same mechanism as Submariners use, but not really to the same standard or quality, of course. It's a stamped bracelet, that's one thing to notice. You probably know that. Right now, the bezel is not actually aligned. You can probably see, but let me see if I can get that. Ah, really nice bezel action. Okay, it's perfectly aligned. Okay, that was not an issue. But there is a small amount of play. I mean, I did expect that, honestly. I expected it to be newer, but it's seen quite a lot of use. Now, if you take a closer look here, it's hard for me to reveal the case back, but there's quite a lot of grime on the case back itself, and especially in the corners and areas of the lugs. Is the crown fully in? No, it was not screwed down. This is a screwed down crown, right? Yeah. The crown was not screwed in. I was worried for a second over there, but now it's fully seated in. I guess the previous owner didn't know that it had a screw down crown. Perhaps the person was not a watch enthusiast. Well, that is not the best first thing to see in a watch you've just purchased from someone. But otherwise it seems to be in decent nick. If you take a look here, you can actually see that. Now perhaps I can point at it better with the knife. Don't worry, I'm not touching it. If you can see that, it seems to be some sort of metal fragment, but it looks a bit like a weld. I know that they probably don't weld these together, but it's very hard and it seems to be made of metal. So if you know what that is, let me know, but that's very odd and slightly disconcerting. But the bracelet is, like I said, an oyster bracelet. It has the polished center links, although they're not half as lustrous as they are on any Rolex bracelet. But that's also because this has seen quite a lot of use, so it's nicely scratched up. But I mean, surface scratches, you could polish them out, but it's not something I care too much about, so I wouldn't be doing that. Now to the dial itself. I could show you some better clips once I have it cleaned up, because right now there's a lot of smaller particulate matter on crystal. Luckily the case back is pretty nice and transparent. So there seem to be some sort of tiny chips all across the dial, like as if someone sort of poked it with a needle here and there accidentally or purposely. I don't really know, but I hope I can get most of them out. But luckily it's not something underneath the dial. That would have been a much bigger issue. I would have decided to send it back. This, like I said, I paid 47 euros for this. At new, this thing retails for about $90, let's say 80 to $95, and it's the same in Europe in euros because of tax. But yeah, this is basically a half-priced Invicta. So you see the territory we're getting into. You have Rolex at about 8,000, and now you have Invicta about 80. And this is basically a half-priced Invicta. So I didn't really expect something too great, and it's actually fairly decent. I don't know if I'm gonna keep the watch. I think this is more for making videos on it, and I think it's quite interesting because I'd never actually held one of these, and I've wanted to know what the sort of hype was about. One thing I just noticed is the Invicta engraving on the side of the case. I know that that's quite divisive and a lot of people hate that, but I'm not actually too concerned about it because I would never wear this piece to represent the Submariner. I just want to get an idea of what people like about this piece, and it's a really decent watch for the price. So I'm not trying to have it look like a Submariner, so I'm not too bothered about that. It's not actually that bad in person. In the pictures it looks a lot deeper and thicker, especially the font, but in person, I mean, at some angles you don't really see it, so it doesn't matter that much. But the dial is a bit subpar to what I thought they looked like in pictures. Well, that's mostly because I guess, of the crystal that it's not clean, so perhaps I should do that first before making too many comments about the dial itself. But I don't like the Invicta logo just below the 12 o'clock marker. It seems very odd because there's that weird sort of winged, it looks a bit like a bird, like with its wings out, or perhaps it looks like a plane. I don't really know what it's supposed to be, but it's not that great. It looks quite cheap and it just seems to be stuck on. And below that it says Invicta in a quite an odd font. I mean, likewise with the engraving on the side of the case. But I wish they'd kind of stuck to a better font for the naming of the Invicta on the dial. This sort of cheapens the watch a bit. But the other aspects, yeah, that same logo carries on to the second hand as a counterbalance, and I'm not a fan of it. The Cyclops, there's a lot of dirt around the Cyclops. This is a used piece, I've got to wash it, but it does a decent job. It's not that bad. And the date window itself is fairly clean. And the Cyclops is not perfectly aligned. It's not actually dead straight, but it's not that noticeable. So I guess, I mean, what do you really expect for this price range? But it does the job well. I mean, well enough. Taking a closer look at the dial, or trying to take a better look at the dial, the crystal is quite reflective. The AR coating, if there is one, is not great. But otherwise, the markers are fairly well done. It's got a decent amount of lume, but the hands seem to outshine the markers quite a lot. So I guess they could improve the lume on the markers. But they are applied, and so that's better than painted on. And they're not that bad, and they're aligned well. There's no alignment issues. I was expecting it to be slightly wonky, but it's not. It's straight, it's cut well, and it's polished. The rest of the dial is actually not that bad. It's a Submariner homage, so it has that same, I don't know what it's called, but the outer ring of the dial sort of cascades in from the bezel. Perhaps you can take a look in order to better understand it. If you notice here, you can, I mean, all Rolexes tend to do this, where they have, well, the steel inner ring. I don't know what's called, but you can see the ring inside, where it's made of solid steel. Typically in Rolex models, it's engraved Rolex multiple times all across, and you get the serial number at the bottom. But I like that they left it plain. Of course, putting Invicta all over there would have made it quite disastrous in my opinion. And there's no serial number. I don't really think there is. Yeah, there must be one somewhere inside. However, so that's my first impressions of this watch. The clasp, cheap clasp. I expected it. Nothing to talk about really. Stamped. The bracelet's not that bad. Has some weight to it. In terms of flex, this is a used piece. It does have some flex. It does have some stretch, but not that noticeable. Not to a similar extent of perhaps a Jubilee or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna first clean this piece, and you'll see a review of it and lots of more videos to come on it. Once again, thank you guys for watching. As always, like and subscribe. What do you want to see about this Invicta piece? I'm gonna put it against a couple other watches, and you'll also of course see a review and more shots of it, mainly clean shots of it. So as always, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, it really helps us. Check out our website, standardtimeinsta.com, head over to our Instagram. Probably see pictures of this Invicta on the Instagram before videos on YouTube. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.